folks, what a difference a day makes. I don't know. Leafs return Wednesday night and played a pretty solid game versus the Flyers. I guess everything's fine, right? But we're going to break it all down for you right here on the OZone. You're in the offensive zone, your place for Leafs hockey. Hey folks, welcome to the OZone. That's Coach, that's Katie, and I'm the Devo. We're here to talk all things Leafs. Look folks, remember to hit subscribe, ring the bell, you'll never miss any content. Like, share the video, this helps spread the word, and of course leave a comment, we'll get you on the pod, and you'll help us get better. Okay, the Leafs played probably, we'll call it their most complete game of the season, the young season thus far. The Stars combined for 11 points. The D, positionally sound. Decent goaltending. Good possession numbers. Good special teams. KD, what'd you see?
Well, I saw just that. I think we saw a depleted, a tired Philly team. But it was a good effort. Loving Brody with virtually every partner he has. And pretty good argument to be made. He's even stronger on his strong side, the left side, than he is on the right, which will feed Coach's argument about adding a solid right D. But he seemed to have solidified, or at least built the confidence for Hall up a bit, which is great. We're dire need of some confidence for some of these D, and I thought the forwards helped out a lot. Back in their own ends, a lot more short passes, working on as a five-man unit. It was a lot better. Absolutely, it was a lot better.
Yeah, Coach, last pod you wanted to blow everything up. Are you walking that back now? Where are we at?
Hey, that's a fair question, Devo. So look, last pod, which last pod? Because we did predict the Philly game, and I did predict an easy 4-1 win. It was 5-2. Said it would be the Leafs' best effort of the year, and it was. I just said that would happen to spite me, not because the team was going to get on track. But I'm happy we put a solid game together. It was long overdue. When's the last time we played a solid 60? Hasn't been this year. So it's good to see that we actually can do that. But look, one game does not fix the preparation that this team has shown coming into games, especially against weaker opponents on the whole. It doesn't fix the structure with which the team plays. And it certainly doesn't fix the roster construction. Those things are all they're still issues. They don't get fixed with one win versus an AHL goaltender who's 0-8 in the NHL in his lifetime. So, good win, but that's great. Look, I still think a major roster move is needed, guys. Yeah. So, I will say this. The more you win, the more that you put together good efforts, the less the league starts circling like sharks, right? The better we're playing, the less leverage other teams think they have. They're going to serve up some kind of deal because they know you need a shake-up. You just have more leverage when you're playing well. So I hope that that's what we're going to get out of this. So, hey, good win. I'm happy.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the number one issue with this team so far in this young season has been the Stars. Everyone can go on and on about how our goaltending, our backup goaltending isn't that good, or that Hall's played badly, or the defense isn't really built to win. But if you're going to commit as much money as the Leafs have committed to Stars, they gotta show up and they gotta produce every night. And certainly Tavares had a monster night the other night. But 11 points for your main core is a pretty solid effort. Before we move on from the game and start talking about more broader things, I just want to bring up one thing at the end of the game. Most people probably saw Matthews kind of got a little chippy after he received a bit of a cheap shot, missing a point-blank goal in front of the net. Took it into the corner, started pushing around with a guy. Then, all his friends jumped in and took care of business. Guys, so we can take care of it really quick, what do you think? I'll start with you, Kev. Matthews' situation there at the end of the game with Konecny.
Well, I it's something that concerns me a little more than probably it should. We saw it against San Jose, though. It was convenient for him that Justin Hall was on the ice because everyone seemed to blame him for the goal. But there was a full on situation where he didn't try at all, and a guy beat him to the net and scored. Then we get into a fight situation that he fully starts. He instigates this from beginning, gets himself into it, and then when his friends show up, he waltzes away. What he did, the equivalent was sitting on the bench. Like, he smiled and stood there and then picked up some gloves after for all his teammates who fought his battle. That's not good. Like, it's not a good look. That needs to change. I don't know if someone can take him aside or talk to him. I don't want him throwing punches and breaking his hand on someone's head, but he's got to do more than that. We're going to see one of, I think, two things going forward. We're going to see teams going to take runs at him more often to try and see what it starts, especially when the Leafs are up. And I think his team, at some point, if you call your teammates or friends, like, you have to be putting in what you take out, right? It can't just be everyone else putting in for you. So if he's going to be the leader of this team, he's got to act like it, and he didn't last night.
Yeah, Coach, what do you think on that point?
Well, I think we're going to do its own little segment on this, so I'll be really brief here. You can play in this league and not get into those things. There are guys that do that, but they also don't instigate things. If you're going to instigate it, you got to do something. You don't have to fight, but maybe wrestle that guy, grab him, pull him against the boards, maybe pull him down. Like, you can't do one without the other. And the Leafs, as currently constructed, don't have a guy that's comfortable going in and doing that. It's not Bunting. It's not Giordano. Both those guys jumped in because they felt like they had to, but you're putting them in bad spots. Not a good look long term, because you got to look those guys every day in the eye when you're in the room. Don't start stuff and then look around and see who's going to finish it for you.
Here's the thing for me. I've actually, this has been something that's gone on for years, and Matthews is always going to get a lot of guys taking cheap shots on him. He's one of the best players in the league. He's got a target on his back. He doesn't want to break his hand, doesn't want to break his wrist again. He doesn't want to get into fights, obviously. But there's this one situation where you're up against a guy who's 5'10", on his skates and 175 pounds, soaking wet, and you're kind of going, you got 6 inches and 45 pounds on him. This might be the one time you kind of grab a guy, you really try to wrestle him to the ground, and if one shot's going to be thrown, you're the guy who throws it and put him on the ice, and maybe it puts a lot of this stuff away. But we'll see. I think we'll digress on this point. I think people are going to make too big a point of it anyways. We'll probably hit it on a short or something like that as well. Anyways, let's get back to it. It was a big win. All's forgotten. Maybe not. I don't think so. And we also got some big, tough games coming up, right? Boston is not going to be an easy out. Colorado, and then again with Vegas. So the Leafs could easily find themselves back on a losing streak here. What needs to happen, or perhaps what can't happen again, so that the Leafs can kind of continue to find their way into this season and get their feet under themselves, Katie?
Well, Coach talked about changing, the roster, making some construction changes, and that's fine and dandy. But there's a lot that this roster can do to be getting back to being playoff team and playoff ready. We saw it better last night, but they've been disjointed. Again, they don't get enough shots on the power play. I'm going to say it again. They don't cross the wingers nearly enough. They did, if you notice when Matthews had the one-timer, broke the skate plate, and Navarro scored, he was crossed. Shocker. But they need to do little things like that. It's just simply moving the puck around faster. They're a highly skilled team. They need to support the puck and move it faster, out of their own hands from the neutral zone, all 200 feet of it. And just work as a team. It's stuff that you need to know, or you need to be as a winning team. Boston has always been a really good team. Boston is always better or more than the sum of their parts. Right? Meaning, you break that team up, they're not going to be as good on their own. You put them together, they play better, they play above their heads. And that's supporting each other, that's back checking the right way, that's moving the puck fast. So they can do that. They have it in them. They just have to be committed.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It was nice to see the third and fourth lines actually showing a bit of jam and some cohesion that didn't necessarily show up on the score sheet, but it certainly helped in that game that they were tilting the ice. Coach, same question. What do you think? What do they need to keep doing or pivot to in order to not sort of fall back into the laurels of the early part of the season?
Yeah, I think so. Kev mentioned the power play. I like what they did on the power play. They didn't cross the wingers. It just so happened that's how they broke in on that goal where Matthews took that shot, broke the skate. What they actually did do is put him in the bumper position, and he played there for most all of the night. They had a bunch of power plays. I like that. I like that they moved things around. So, because it was getting a little stagnant, right? A lot of standing around, a lot of moving around the exterior, not a lot of shots. So that's good. I mean, the easiest thing would be to clone TJ Brody. Every guy he plays with plays well, and the other guys tend to struggle. I don't know if you saw what Keefe said. Somebody kind of tongue-in-cheek said, Coach, what do you like about the Riley-Victor Mete pairing that you put them together? He said, well, it's what we like about the other two pairs, is what he said. Did not want to play Mete with Riley, but he had to because he had to get Justin Hall going, and Brody's the tonic for that. Timothy Liljegren comes back now for the Boston game. So you got to sort those pairs out. Is he going to play with Riley? Figure that out and get some cohesion. The other part of it is, I think, let's try it. Like, we're about to get out-coached in the next stretch of games. Not to mention, I mean, I know the teams are good, but if you think about the next 6 games, okay, Montgomery's in Boston. He's dried up now. He's off the sauce. He's a good coach. But the rest of them are tough. You get Rod Brindamore, Carolina, Bruce Cassidy, the Vegas Golden Knights, Mike Sullivan, then Bruce Boudreau, and then Sullivan again in the next 6. In my own opinion, 5 of those guys are better coaches than Keith. Can we narrow the gap and keep it closer? That would be good. And then the last thing I'd say is, look, you got to fish or cut bait on Nick Robertson. He's a healthy scratch, it sounds like, again against Boston. He had that, he broke out with 2 goals, then he's done nothing. It's the same as last year. He had an audition, 8-9 games on Tavares' wing, not even a point there. So you can't have a Shane Wright situation with Nick Robertson. He's either got to be here and play, or he's got to go somewhere where he can play. It doesn't do us any good whether he's going to develop into a player or be an asset that you can move if he's in the press box.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I think that's what we're looking for here short term.
That's a great point on Robertson. I know there's fans locally in the city that are really looking for big things from him, but I mean that's an asset one way or another, and if you're not going to play him, you got to move him. And by play him, he can even play with the Marlies, but the press box is not going to help him at all. So, yeah, okay. Well, we've reviewed the game. Let's start talking about other things. This is a little thing we like to do around here. You know what's coming, folks. Where's Coach?
Okay, guys, so hey, as you can see here, that's a mountain on the campus of Arizona State University. So that's where Coach is these days. And so I came out here for family weekend. The low res camera doesn't show it now. Came out here for family weekend. Our daughter's a sophomore here. And just so happened, I'm out here. As you know, the Coyotes are now playing at Mullet Arena, so I took in the game last night. Show you
business in the front and party in the back at that arena, eh?
It certainly is. So, actually, here's a picture of me and Mrs. Coach out front. So, Kev, when you were growing up, did you ever play at St. Mike's?
Yes.
It's about that
Anytime.
size.
Right.
It's about that size. It's small. Like, it seats 5,000. There are probably 4,000 people there.
Right.
So that's outside. There's the only rink in the league with 2 logos at center ice. You got the Sun Devils there and Arizona. So I sat in the corner. Our daughter came with us, so we had 3 tickets, right? I sat in the corner, 3rd row up, and, pretty good seats. Like, there's not a bad seat in there. And then I moved to our other seats, which were just inside the blue line. So hopefully you get a sense of it. I mean, in each of those pictures, you can see the roof. It's only one level, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's tiny, and you're right on top of the action. Oh, yeah, here's one more here. There's a Trailer Park Boys fan. Ricky, he's got the Ricky 420 jersey there going, so that's great. So look, I highly recommend anybody who likes to go see rinks to go see a game in that rink. So for Leaf fans, look, we know there's millions of Leaf fans around. We also know there's thousands of Leaf fans that do things like us, like we talk about the Leafs. That's what we do. There are also some really diehard fans like me that like to go see the Leafs in different venues. The Leafs are in Arizona December 29th. I would highly recommend, if you're an ardent Leaf fan like I am, to go check them out at that game. And what I'll do is, before that game, I'll give our subscribers a what to expect scouting report. So where you stay, where to park. Bundle up. That's the coldest rink I've ever been in. It's crazy. So I'll give you a scouting report there. And then I got one more scouting report. So the game itself was a stinker, right? Dallas Stars were in town, 7-2 win for Dallas. It was 4-0 like 10 minutes in. So the Leafs are in Dallas December 6th. Before that game, I'll give you a scouting report on Dallas. Guys, they're good. I know we already got them once this year, but they're coming to my town, Dallas, and we'll do a scouting report before that one. So there's Where's Coach.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. Doesn't matter where the games are. Coach is going to find his way to get there. Also, we always have good coverage for you here, so make sure you keep coming back right here on the OZone.